guys. Before this episode, I just want to give a really big trigger warning. We're talking about the unsolved murder of JonBenét Ramsey. If you haven't heard of this case, it involves child abuse, obviously murder, sexual abuse, and it's a little more violent than our episodes have been in the past. So if you're sensitive to any of that, we won't be offended. Please click away and join us next time. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you and yours, from us and ours.
Today I have... Oh, wait. Theme song.
Normal girls into normal things. A paranormal girls into normal things. Yeah.
This happened on Christmas, but it's not cozy. Don't break out the cocoa. This is the case of the unsolved murder of JonBenét Ramsey. Do you know this case at all? You don't know it at all? This is a very famous unsolved case. It happened in the 90s and it pretty much swept the media. Everyone knew about it because it was a cute little white girl who did beauty pageants. And so the world was the country was kind of fascinated by her. It is interesting that it's still unsolved, and it's a crazy case. I mean, it is insane. There's so much to it, but it is so sad because she was so little. She was just 6. So let's dive in. Okay.
Nervous.
So, JonBenét Ramsey, born on August 6th in 1990. And her parents were JonBenét and Patricia Ramsey, but Patricia went by Patsy. And JonBenét is their French version of JonBenét. Did you notice? They just made up a weird little French name.
I think it's adorable.
They lived in Boulder, Colorado at the time of this murder. JonBenét Ramsey was a businessman and the president of Access Graphics, which was a computer system company. And Patsy was a socialite and had been Miss West Virginia. So they had money. They also had another child, an older brother named Burke. He was 3 years older. He was 9 at the time of her murder. It's possible that Burke had an anger problem. In 1994, he hit JonBenét with a golf club in the cheek. So he kind of has a history of violence. But, I mean, yeah, that sounds bad. But he was a kid, and that was, one incident.
My house is very delicate.
Oh, sure.
Golf club... That would have been the end of it. That would have been we're calling the police on you.
Oh my gosh. It was a significant event, for sure.
Yeah.
Patsy was entering JonBenét into beauty pageants from a really young age. She won her first one, which was the Colorado State All-Star Pageant in 1994 when she was 4 years old. On December 6th, 1996, JonBenét had her own Little Miss Colorado float in the Lights of December parade.
Oh my god.
And so a lot of people think it's possible that that's where her killer saw her, maybe. I mean, she was getting a lot of press because she was winning a lot of pageants.
Sure.
She had a lot of awards. This is what I always say about child beauty pageants. It's just a breeding ground for pedos. They're putting all this makeup on the girls and dressing them up, and a lot of the time making them do suggestive dances, and it's icky, and there are so many pedos.
If it's making your daughter happy, I don't think it should be well, you can't do this because some weirdo might show up and get the wrong idea about you.
True.
People sexualize children in their own minds. Kids don't know how to sexualize themselves.
Yeah.
They know that they saw this dance and thought it was fun and they wanted to do it, and you're the problem if you're thinking that it's about sex.
For sure, but I also am kind of who's running these things?
Yeah, sure.
So on the 23rd, these are the days leading up to her death. So on the 23rd, the Ramseys had a Christmas party where they had about 30 guests, and there was a family friend named Bill Mcreynolds who dressed up as Santa at this party.
Okay.
And he had dressed up as Santa the year before as well. Also, notably, at this party, there was a 911 call from the Ramsey house, and the caller hung up without saying anything, and when the police called back, they got the answering machine, and so they went to the home, and it was determined that the call had been placed by mistake by a drunken guest, but Who knows what was going on? So then on December 24th, the next day, JonBenét is playing at her friend Megan's house, and she told Megan's mom that she had gotten a secret visit from Santa the night before. Oh, I'm so stressed. It's so sad. This is not pleasant, you guys. So now we've reached Christmas Day. This is the last day of JonBenét's life. We have not done a case this tragic yet, so I apologize in advance. So December 25th, 1996, the Ramseys left for a Christmas party that night around 5 p.m., and this was hosted by their friends Fleet and Priscilla White. Okay. So after the party, the Ramseys go home, and they stopped on the way to drop off presents at two friends' houses. And they said JonBenét fell asleep at the party, and they carried her into the car and then carried her into the house, and she went right to sleep. She was asleep the whole time. And we're not totally sure what time they got home, but according to her parents, JonBenét was last seen alive in her bed asleep at 10 p.m. that night. And Patsy says that she and John went to bed around 10 to 10:30. She's not sure. So the family was going to get up early the next morning because they planned to fly to Michigan the next day. And according to the police, a neighbor reportedly saw lights on in the Ramsey house at midnight. And then around 1 a.m., neighbor Melody Stanton reportedly heard a scream. So December 26th, at 5:30 a.m., John Ramsey wakes up to get ready for his flight. JonBenét had a bedwetting problem, and I guess she had wet the bed the night before. And so Patsy gets up. She puts on the same outfit that she was wearing the night before.
Patsy does?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess we do that sometimes. Puts on makeup, and then goes to the second floor because she's going to clean JonBenét's long johns. So 5:45, Patsy's walking up the steps. They had like a spiral staircase in their home.
Okay. And
she discovers a ransom note written on 3 sheets of paper, and it indicates basically that JonBenét's been kidnapped. And I will read you this ransom note. It's bizarre.
Okay.
Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, and business is spelled wrong. There's like a bunch of typos in this. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. And if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Please make sure you bring an adequate sized attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. What? That's so weird. If we monitor you getting the money earlier, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money, hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter.
Oh.
Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for a proper burial. The 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you to not provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Victory. And it's signed SBTC.
Okay, so my first thought is just like, your daughter has been kidnapped. That's the first thing that like clicks into your brain that's happening. How do you read that ever? How do you bring yourself to read the entire... That is so long.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have some things to tell you about this letter.
Okay.
So my first reaction is just that this is extremely theatrical.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. A lot of this is very funny. Like, don't try to grow a brain, John. You're not the only fat cat around. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so they said that they're like foreign,
Yeah.
this group that did this?
Yeah.
So
there's, I mean, not to get ahead of ourselves, but there was never any evidence that this is related to any foreign faction. We
Yeah.
have no idea what SBTC stands for. To this day, we have no idea. Another interesting thing about this letter is that $118,000 is the exact amount that John received as his Christmas bonus that year. So that implies
give me your bonus.
some things.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any sort of public record of that.
No, and he's the president of this company, so it's not like it's not like you can call up the company and be like, "Hey, how much is your president getting for his Christmas bonus?"
But
like,
even employees
could have been an employee.
could have gotten that
maybe,
information.
Maybe somehow.
I don't know how you would though.
If you were like in accounting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you were like,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
But if that's his bonus, then NBD, right?
Well, sure, kind of. So yeah. Another thing they found out is upon investigation, this note was written on a legal pad using a pen inside the Ramsey house. And not only that, they had written multiple drafts.
They found multiple drafts of the note?
They found like the indentation of multiple drafts.
Oh, so they had been writing.
Yeah.
Oh, inside the house?
Yep. And it was a legal pad from inside the house and one of their pens. So
they had to have been there for a while before they took this kid.
yes. Or
at
they
the party.
are in the family. So Patsy goes to her room. JonBenét is not there. And she checks on Burke, and he's fine and asleep. And so she calls 911 at 5:52 and reports JonBenét missing.
911 emergency. Police. What's going on? 515th Street. What's going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
So she seems pretty frantic. I mean, that seems real, right?
Yeah.
That seems real to me. So a lot of people think at the end she's saying, "Help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus." But there are others who have like really analyzed this audio and they think she's saying, "Sweetie, what did you do?" And then a man's voice saying, "They're gonna arrest me."
See?
I definitely heard, "Sweetie, what did you do?" But I don't hear "they're gonna arrest me." I don't... Okay.
That's certainly not admissible in court, but it is interesting. So after she calls the cops, Patsy immediately calls her friends, the Whites, from the party from the night before, and they come over right away. So at 5:55 a.m., Officer French is dispatched, and he reads the note and does a quick search of the house and found that the door had been unlocked and the 7 windows had been unlocked, and there was no sign of forced entry, and their alarm system was off. At 7:30 a.m., the Ramseys went to the bank and took out the money, the $118,000.
Okay.
And they were waiting for that call from 8 to 10 a.m., and it never came. There were no footprints in the snow. It had snowed. But it's possible, I guess, that this had happened early enough that it snowed over the footprints, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
So here's where I start to get pissed, because this is legit the worst crime scene investigation in the history of the world. Like,
Okay.
every possible thing was done wrong. It pisses me off. So now, friends come over, and they start trying to help, and they start cleaning up the house. I mean, at this point, they think she's just missing. There's no reason for them to think she's in the house, right? They've taken her out, obviously.
But there could still be clues.
Exactly. No, exactly. You're supposed to sit the family down or put them outside, and then the police, very carefully, without touching anything, investigate the crime scene. Not friends coming over and, like, doing their dishes, cleaning their house. Like, that's crazy. And it just gets worse. So now So now Detective Linda Arndt is on the scene. So she now does a search, and then she asks John Ramsey to do a search of the house to keep him occupied. What?
Why? Why would he need to be kept occupied?
I don't know.
Why is that? Why do you think it's your job as the police officer that's supposed to be investigating this to keep the family occupied?
I have no idea. This whole thing was done so poorly. So John and Fleet start to search the basement of the home.
Okay.
And while searching the playroom, they locate a broken ground level window, and there was a suitcase beneath the window that was normally somewhere else. So this is when John Ramsey finally searches the wine cellar, turns on the light, and there he sees his daughter, JonBenét. He cries out in shock. He picks her up, carries her upstairs, and so there's duct tape covering her mouth. Her wrists are tied above her head, some sort of tie around her neck. It's, I guess, often used for sex, like bondage. Sorry. For real, click out of this video if you're squeamish now. So he picks JonBenét up, carries her upstairs, and Detective Arndt informs John that JonBenét, unfortunately, has passed away. She was strangled to death with something known as a garrote, a form of a tie that is tightened by a stick turning it. So this garrote was made from a nylon cord and a wooden handle fashioned from the middle of a paintbrush from Patsy's paint tray in the boiler room. She had also suffered a blow to the head that was not immediately apparent from looking at her. This was not what killed her. And also, unfortunately, but I think it's important to note that she was sexually assaulted with the paintbrush. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm done with the gross part. So they found a rope in JonBenét's room that reportedly did not belong to the Ramsey family, and 2 sets of shoe prints in the wine cellar, including one that had a high-tech brand marking on the sole, and neither Patsy, John, nor Burke owned shoes by this brand at the time.
Okay.
So DNA was found in her long johns that belonged to an unidentified male. And in 2004, the DNA was compared with a database with 1.5 million convicted felons, and no matches came up. Yeah, her murder's never been solved, but that's the basic evidence. The family was immediately sus to the police, but they were super forthcoming and they were interviewed many times. John and Patsy gave the Boulder police handwriting samples that were supervised, and they also provided DNA samples, and Burke provided DNA samples as well. And it was determined that the note had not been written by John or Burke, but they could not determine with 100% certainty that it wasn't written by Patsy, if that was inconclusive. So some theorize that JonBenét was killed accidentally by either Patsy or Burke, but if this is true, a lot of things would have to be staged, and it also doesn't totally align with the autopsy report to me.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an accident.
No, she was strangled.
Yeah.
That's what killed her.
That's not an accident. Unless like Patsy was a world-class actress, that sounded way too real.
I mean, the sexual assault thing is always what gets me. Yeah. And she also, there were 2 sets of footprints. I mean, I don't know. The note is weird. So the theory is that, I mean, people really think this. This is honestly the most popular theory. The Ramsey family claimed that JonBenét was asleep from the party to when she got home all through the night. If she was in bed from 10 p.m., then it's weird that she would have undigested pineapple in her stomach. And there was a bowl of pineapple found on the kitchen counter with Patsy and Burke's fingerprints on it. So a lot of people think that they had some sort of fight, maybe involving the pineapple.
Who?
Burke and JonBenét. Burke and JonBenét. And they had some sort of fight, and he hit her over the head with a flashlight that was I guess found on the scene. I guess they're pretty sure the flashlight is what hit her in the head.
Okay.
I mean, that's a really severe blow to the head. He's 9, And then the theory is that the mom helped him cover it up. But yikes, you went really, really far with it, girl. That would be a crazy way to cover it up.
What's throwing me is that, like, the blow to the head didn't kill her. So what was there to cover up? That she got hurt?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Right, it doesn't match the autopsy.
No.
So what? So you hit her, and then she's about to die. Ugh, I don't want to lose my son and my daughter. So I guess I'll just finish the job and strangle her to death. And then sexually assault her? Like, no. In 2013, it was revealed that in 1999, a grand jury had voted to indict John and Patsy Ramsey of child abuse resulting in death, but the DA at the time, Alex Hunter, didn't think there was enough evidence, so he didn't sign the indictment, so they were never arrested.
The handwriting thing is not enough.
No.
Yeah, I just have such a hard time believing that this was in any way an accident that was being covered up at all.
Yes.
That's why I
agree.
Unless it was the family doing it on purpose.
I mean, if there was just ongoing abuse and like this whole loving family thing is just a complete lie and we've just all been bamboozled, maybe. That's why I hesitate to like jump on the family train.
Yeah.
And people are so aggressive about it, but I'm like, look, you weren't there, you don't know. And if you're wrong, you're really accusing this family of killing their daughter. But what finally exonerated them was the DNA that was found in her long johns didn't match anyone in the family. I'm just going to talk about some of the suspects because there are a lot of people that they considered, and I could just go on and on and on. Bill Mcreynolds, family friend Bill Mcreynolds, is someone they considered for the following reasons. So again, he'd been at the house 2 nights before the murder playing Santa.
And then she got visited by Santa.
Yeah. On December 26th in 1974, like 20 years earlier, the Mcreynolds' 9-year-old daughter had been kidnapped along with their friend, and the perpetrator was never caught. Also, his wife had written a play about a young girl who was molested and murdered in a basement, which is just kind of weird. That's just kind of, I don't know what that is implying, that he like got the idea from that and then did it, but it is odd. He was just kind of obsessed with her. He said, her murder was harder on me than my operation. She made a profound change in me. He brought a vial of glitter that she had given him in with him to his operation, and even asked his wife to mix the glitter with his ashes when he dies. But he didn't match the DNA.
I don't like that.
Yes.
Oh, God.
My next suspect is Gary Oliva, however you pronounce that. He lived a few blocks away from the Ramseys in 1996, and in 2000, he was arrested on drug charges and was found carrying a photo of JonBenét in his backpack. He told the Denver Post, "JonBenét's murder touched me very deeply. I felt she was an exceptional girl whose death was an exceptional loss. I felt the need to build a monument, a shrine to remember this little girl." And in 2016, he was arrested for possession of child pornography.
There it is.
Yeah. So also, a high school friend of Oliva's, Michael Vale, told In Touch magazine that Oliva called him the day after JonBenét was murdered and said, I heard a little girl. And he said that the girl that he hurt lived in Boulder, and that's when Michael hung up.
Yikes.
The method in which JonBenét was strangled was also the method that Oliva used when he tried to strangle his own mother with a telephone cord. But unfortunately, Oliva's DNA was not a match, and he was dismissed as a suspect.
Okay.
Next, we have John Mark Carr. So this is a creepy one. People have mixed feelings about this. So Carr was a divorced father and a retired elementary school teacher. And a journalism professor named Michael Tracy developed an email correspondence with him over 4 years. During these emails, Carr confessed to the murder of JonBenét and basically just talked about being a creepy pedophile, creepo, horrible person. And Tracy kind of had to play along just to get him to confess. I guess because he was suspicious of him. So Carr apparently used similar language in the Ransom Note in his emails, and he eventually confessed to being in love with JonBenét. And he said that he hit her in the head with a flashlight, which we know isn't even how she died. But he said that he took her down to the basement and that's where he killed her. So they eventually tracked down Carr in Thailand, where he was running away from child pornography charges. But his DNA did not match, so he was not charged. But he maintained that he did not act alone. And you might remember there were 2 sets of shoe prints. I don't know. But apparently, former Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner said his confession, once they shared it with us, did not match the evidence at the scene. We knew in about 18 hours he wasn't our guy. So here's the thing. In these examples, their DNA didn't match, so that's what cleared them. But recently, DNA expert Dr. Henry Lee, who worked on the OJ case, came out and said that the DNA found in JonBenét's underwear could have been left over from the manufacturing company. And he proved this by testing an unopened bag of underwear and found evidence from multiple unidentified sources. Meaning that all the suspects that were exonerated by DNA, it could have been any one of them. What drives me nuts about this case is it literally could have been anyone. And the thing is, like, I think we would know if they hadn't done such a horrible job with their crime scene investigation.
Like, when you take, like, DNA tests of people, they hold on to that information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why can they not reopen the case and re-investigate?
I don't know. Most of the things I read said that they were more suspicious of Patsy and Burke. I didn't see anything that really suspected John, but maybe it was this Santa guy. I don't know. It's so annoying. There's just so much extraneous, weird evidence in this. Like, the ransom note, I personally think was written to be crazy, just to throw people off.
Yeah, I feel like icky.
Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, I hope that whoever it was that did this, although they were not caught and may never be caught, is constantly tortured by what they did and are hurting every single day because of it. I hope that karma has come back 80 times. I really hope that.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe they will get justice in this physical world. Maybe we will figure it out.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time where we will talk about something less depressing. I'm so sorry.
See you in 2021, fam.
Bye-bye.